this really happened. And there's so much more to it that I'm going to get into, but just to give you the intro gist, the summary. I'm not attached to the trailer. The trailer's at the dock. It was thousands and thousands of pounds overweight on the trailer. And they had me I go through all this run around. I'm sweating. It's raining. We'll get into that in a minute. But the trailer's at the dock. Tandems are all the way to the back, and I'm not attached to it. Okay? Not attached. Not the airline's attached. It's dolly down. Tandems all the way back. It's at the dock. And the lumper, the unloader, comes out, and I see him in the mirror, and he's back there pulling on the knob. Trying to find a knob, pulling on the knob for the trailer gauge weight. And he comes up to the window and he's like, hey, how do I get this thing to tell me where it's at? We just moved some things around and I'm trying to figure it out. As Elon Musk would say, let that sink in. Let that sink in. For those of you who know how the gauge weight works and knows how to trailer, there's a lot of things wrong with what that guy was trying to do. Not just one thing, a lot of things wrong with it. Oh boy, let's get into it here in just a second. All right, Eric here. Driver lineup, world's okay, steering wheel holder. Oh boy. All right, so this video, for those of you who do drive, it's not going to be anything really new to you. Maybe you'll enjoy the story. Maybe you'll get some laugh out of it. I can kind of laugh now looking back. I was seething angry when this was happening, super frustrated. But for those who don't drive, I'll try to put this in as simple as terms for you so you can understand. And those who are considering coming in to drive, this is the shit you're gonna have to deal with. It's just a part of it. And I have to live it times 3 because I have 2 other trucks other than this one, and those drivers have to go through it too. So like I got one driver right now who got to his second stop out of 3 stops. He needed to pick up at 2 stops and then drop off at the last stop. He gets to his second stop and they tell him that he's supposed to be delivering there, not picking up. So he's been going through all kinds of shit all night. It just is what it is. So, the thing that can be most frustrating to me is that we as professional drivers, for the most part, I can't speak for everyone, but I think probably most of us seek precision and perfection in making sure that we're where we need to be when we need to be there. And we have no wiggle room. And there's severe consequences if you screw it up. Sometimes if you're 5 minutes late, severe consequences. Like you can have fines charged to the carrier or charged to your truck. You can be sitting there for 2 days trying to get a new appointment, burning reefer fuel all that time and not making money running more freight. Severe consequences. But we get treated by shit like shit all the time by shippers and receivers, and there's virtually no consequence at all. And so you can have a great plan and then get punched in the face and it all go to shit. And it happens often. So this happened 2 nights ago. I had just gotten off the phone with Jenna. She was going to bed. It's like 11 p.m. I had just fueled the truck in the reefer. I had just gotten a fresh cup of coffee. I was on my way to what should be a very straightforward, very easy pickup. Drop and hook. I had a clean trailer. Go in, drop the empty trailer, you pick up the loaded trailer, you get on your way. Should be pretty cut and dry, easy. The place on Google Maps had great reviews. Not much complaint about it at all, so I was like, okay, this should go well. My appointment was for 0200. I was only 17 miles away. You could get there as early as you wanted. So in my mind, the only thing that could possibly go, and it wouldn't even be going wrong, because I'd be getting there a few hours early, would be that the load's not ready. So I just drop the trailer off and go sit somewhere and wait. So, but that's not something going wrong. That's just the only sort of hiccup, I guess you could say. So I get there and the load's ready. Amazing. This should be great. It's perfect weather, 68, 69 degrees, 70 degrees, something like that. There's a breeze, all good. Well, when I drop the trailer at a dock, and I go around, find the loaded trailer, get under it, get hooked up to it, and all of a sudden it starts to get like really thick in the air. It starts to get really humid really fast. Not super hot, just humid. So I'm working on trailer, running a pre-trip on the reefer, checking the seal number, taking a picture of the seal number, putting my lock on the trailer, getting everything ready. Put pressure into the trailer, and it's heavy. Like, it's at least seems to be ridiculously heavy. And when I say the trailer, I'm not talking about the whole trailer, not the part that sits on the truck. I'm talking about the very back. Seasoned drivers, you don't need to have that explanation. Some people might, so allow me to provide some definition for those who may not know. But at least with prime trucks, we have a gauge in the truck that tells us how much weight is on the drives, which are the axles on the tractor, and there's a gauge on the trailer that tells you how much weight is on the trailer axles. They're not always calibrated and accurate. I know for a fact the one on my truck is extremely accurate because I had just been on a DOT scale at a weigh station that had that showed you what the weights were, and it was dead on accurate. So I know that this gauge in the truck is like right on the money. So I can rely on that one. And this gauge was showing me 30,000 pounds. So perfectly fine. We can have 34,000 pounds on it. So this one looked good. The one back there was just crazy. And I had pushed the tandems all the way back to the 12th hole, which is as far back as you can run them. They'll go further back, but that's as far back as you can go, which creates a lot more distance between the trailer axles and the truck, which puts more weight on the truck. And it was still like crazy overweight. And I didn't have the bills yet, so I wasn't sure of what the weight of the freight was. So I was hoping that it was just a bad, not calibrated trailer gauge weight. That was my hope, because for it to be that lopsided with the tandems all the way back into the 12th hole was scary if it was accurate. So I finished the pre-trip on the reefer, finished my inspection of the trailer, all that good stuff. Drive around to where the office is, go inside, get the paperwork, and it's just under 45,000 pounds as far as the freight. So what does that tell you? Well, now that you know how much the freight weighs, you can look at your tractor gauge weight and do the math and pretty much figure out, there's a lot of weight in the back of the trailer. A lot. So the trailer gauge weight is correct. So I go in there and I'm like, hey man, I'm just gonna be totally honest with you, that there is no way that trailer is legal right now. Like, not even remotely close. This dude, so he says, well, let's go outside. Comes outside, takes a look, and he's walking around the trailer like he knows what the F is going on. Looking at tandems, he goes, you've got a lot of room to push these tandems. You can go all the way back with these tandems, and wouldn't that put more weight on your tractor? Like, dude, the 12th hole is as far. Yeah, I know the tandems will go all the way to the back of the trailer. That doesn't mean you can leave and just drive around 500-600 miles with the tandems all the way at the. You wouldn't be able to make any turns, and it's not legal. So I'm trying to explain this to him, and he's he's just sitting there like trying to do calculations and understand this. Like, well, but I don't get it. You can move them back several feet more, and that should, bro. Like, you can't. No, I know the tandems will go back. They can't. Well, I've heard you guys can move the fifth wheel. Dude, this is like 3,000 pounds we're talking about, bro. Well, we have to have a scale ticket. Okay. Fine. There's a pilot down the road. Not thrilled with this at all. Whatever. You gotta have a scale ticket. Okay. So go down to the pilot. Get scaled. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. In case you can't see it. Drive axle is 30,260, right at what it was showing on the truck. The trailer axles are at 36,340 pounds. So almost 2,500 pounds overweight on the trailer with the tandems all the way back to 12th hole. Not even close. Like, not even close. Now, there was another truck. I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. I don't want to implicate anyone. There was another truck with a carrier that I'm very familiar with that came into that shipper after me and had the same problem. Not quite as severe as mine, but same problem. So I did the scale on the mobile app, but I had to go inside because they wanted a paper copy. So I had to go inside, get the paper copy, and when I came back, and I parked next to the scale because it's in the middle of the night, and this place is bonus parked to shit. There's nowhere. All the fuel islands are lined up. So I squeeze in next to the scale. When I come back out, he's sitting on the scale because I had left the shipper before he did. And he said, "How bad was it?" And I was like, "Bro, it's it's almost 3,000 pounds over, and I'm in a 12th hole. There's no there's no way out of this. I have to go back to the shipper." And I was like, "How bad are you?" And he tells me, and it wasn't as bad, but there was nothing he could do to fix it either. And I never saw him again. I didn't see him back at the shipper. So, I didn't take the same path. I'm not that much of a rebel, So I go back to the customer, and they have me go back into the dock, detach. Now, by the time I got back to this customer and got back to the dock, it got humid as shit, and it started raining all at the same time. So I'm like in and out of the truck in the rain, sweating, trying to get this truck, a trailer, the dolly's landing gear down, tandems all the way to the back, get this attached to it, setting out in front of it, and some time passes, and then I see that dude out there trying, because I had showed him earlier where I could pull a knob and check the weight. So he's back there trying to find that knob, pull it, and check the weight. He comes up to the window. At first I didn't understand what he was doing, and then it became, I thought maybe he was trying to chalk the wheels or something. It's dark. As soon as he was walking towards the truck, I was like, oh my God, was he just trying to pop the gauge weight? So he comes up to the window and says something like, I can't get the gauge to work. I'm trying to figure out if what I moved worked. And I was like, dude, first of all, even if it would work right now, which it can't because it has to have air, there has to be air pressure pushed into the trailer from the truck. There's no air in the truck or in the trailer, so the gauge ain't gonna work. Has to be pressurized. Has to be connected to the truck. And second, the tandems are all the way back. So even if I was connected to the trailer and there was air pushed back there, what difference does it make when the tandems are all the way back? That isn't going to tell you anything. And well, here's what it'll tell you. It'll tell you that the trailer is light and the truck's heavy because the tandems are all the way back. That wouldn't help you. So Okay, I'm gonna get back under the trailer. We'll pull it out. We'll move tandems back to the 12th hole. We'll see where we're at. So move it back. It's still over. It's still over. It's still over. Not by much, but still over. And I'm like, bro, I think you guys gotta take some of this off. And he said, no, we have a policy. We don't take anything off the order if the gross is under 79. Okay, so you're not going to take any of it off. You can't figure out how to get it, get it right on the tandems. But we got to have a scale ticket. You got to have a scale ticket. Even though I had just proven beyond any doubt that both the gauge weights, the gauge weight in a truck and the gauge weight in a trailer, are accurate. I had just proven that, right? What we had seen on both gauge weights before I left the shipper before is exactly what's on here. So we know they're accurate. So we know that the trailer is still overweight by 700 or 800 pounds. We know that. And the only movement I could do in the fifth wheel might make up 600 pounds. It might get us close. But it could be a couple hundred pounds more, it could be a couple hundred pounds less, not sure. In any event, it's still almost 1,000 pounds over back there. So gotta go get a scale ticket. So leave again, go down to pilot, get reweigh, come back. The guy then takes and again, it's raining, so drenched, sweating, humid, disconnect, tandems all the way back. So he decides at that point that they're just going to take everything off the trailer and do it backwards. They're just going to load it backwards from the way they loaded it before. So they do all that and they come out and it's almost the exact same problem in reverse at that point. Like, I'm looking at the gauge weights here and it's showing right at 30, maybe a hair above 34, maybe just a hair above 34, and the trailer's, is underweight. So it's just, at that point I was just like, I just sent it full send, because how many more times are you going to go through this? Like, I was convinced at that point that they just, like, I'd either have to cancel the load or like what, because they weren't going to take anything off, and they didn't really seem to be that concerned with the chaos that this was causing me. And the worst part is there's no consequence for them. In fact, they were acting like it was me inconveniencing them. Like, I was being annoying because I kept coming back. Why doesn't this guy just leave? What's the big deal? And I told him, I was like, you guys gotta understand, man. Like, I gotta go through Louisville. I gotta get on I-55. I gotta go through, drive on 69, 65. Like, I know where there's some pretty big scales. And y'all know when you come into Tennessee, which I had to pass through Tennessee, there is no time in the night where you're safe. Tennessee scales are going to be open. It doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Monday. It doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Tennessee scales, like, don't think you're going to pirate that shit. So I told him, it's a big fine for me. It's, I get cited. It's illegal. And I don't know why they're like, it's like, you guys did this. You sold too much in that one trailer. Why are you annoyed at me? I'm the one who's having to spend hours of my time going back and forth and dealing with all this, sweating my ass off, being out in the rain, when you loaded this way. So damn frustrating. And because I'd gotten there several hours early, it was technically completed within the window for detention. So I had still left within a couple hours after my appointment time, but it was not after the time the detention would kick in. So I spend all this time dealing with this for no extra pay. Not a penny extra. No consequences to them whatsoever for making me have to go through that shit. So it's just like, and I feel like this is probably a little accusatory, but I feel like they knew from the beginning that it was a problem and just wanted me to just go away, like just deal with it. We want all this stuff to go to the buyer, so just take it. Just go, just take it. You'll be fine. Like they had to have known. There's just no way that they just act dumb. Oh, well, you can move this or you could do that, or I don't understand what the problem here is. You should be fine. It's the shit we go through out here, man. It's the shit we go through out here, and there's just everybody can screw up except for us, except for the driver. It's the only party in the whole contract that gets heavily penalized and doesn't have to and has to hold up to its end of the bargain. The other parties, they can fudge it all the time. They can cause headaches, they can cause problems, they can detain you, they can force you to have to do a whole bunch of work that you didn't agree to do for no pay, and there's no consequences to them. So I'm going through this, and then I'm hearing about what one of my drivers is going through, which just makes me cringe for him. I hate it for him. I hate that he has to go through that. And he's trying to figure out, when do I sleep? How do I, this customer screwed up. They think I'm supposed to be bringing something to them when I'm supposed to be picking something up, and I can't leave because the other customer is expecting something from both of these customers, but this customer is telling me that I'm supposed to be bringing something to them, not pick. Oh man, like I hate it for him. I hate it for all of you that have to deal with this stuff, because I know what a royal pain in the ass it is, and it's just part of it. Like, it's just this expectation that, well, that's trucking. You hear people, that's trucking. That's what we just like that. Like, that's just some sort of excuse. Like, that makes it okay. That's trucking. I don't know what can be done about it. Anyway, I know a lot of you can relate to it. I hope that the story is a little entertaining for those who've never experienced it. I know there's a few of you watching these videos that are in PSD, a couple who are on their way to start PSD this coming Monday. That's what you have to look forward to. And don't think to yourself that maybe you'll be lucky and you'll never have to deal with it. You are going to have to deal with it. It is inevitable. And you're going to have to deal with it many times. Because it is part of the gig. Alright guys. Be safe. Make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. I'll talk with you all soon.